President Biden plans to sign an order to temporarily lift weight limits so trucks can carry more cargo. This comes as oil tops $84 for the first time since 2014. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is calling for a special legislative session to consider bills countering vaccine and mask mandates. This comes as 12,000 active duty Air Force personnel could lose their jobs for failing to comply with the mandate. And former President Trump is starting his own social media network. This comes as the Senate has called on Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg to testify about Instagram's impact on kids. Tune into Deep Dive as we explore these topics and more. Hello and welcome. This is Deep Dive and I'm Tiffany Meier. The White House considering more ways to stem the supply chain crisis. President Biden plans to sign an order to temporarily lift weight limits so trucks can carry more cargo. He hopes it can help with the national truck driver shortage that has worsened shipping bottlenecks. Current truck size and weight standards are a blend of federal and state rules. Biden's order would lift federal limits on gross vehicle weight, single axle weight, and tandem axle group weight. A recent study from the American Trucking Association says the nation is short more than 60,000 truck drivers. CNN reports the shortage is now at 80,000. The association estimates over 70% of the total weight of all U.S. freight is moved by trucks on the nation's highways. Biden's executive order would also direct a California labor agency to create educational opportunities for people to become truck drivers. According to the White House, an average of 50,000 commercial driver's licenses and learner's permits have been issued each month in 2021. That's 60% higher than 2020 numbers. This comes as gas is getting even more expensive, thanks to another spike in oil prices. Oil hit 7-year highs on Wednesday, topping $84 a barrel in daily trading. U.S. crude closing at $83.87 a barrel, the highest since 2014. That's more than double the price a year ago. Gas prices are also inching higher. According to AAA, the national average for regular unleaded went up to $3.35 a gallon on Wednesday. That's an increase of nearly 7 cents from a week ago. Now, let's turn to a different impact on the supply chain, debates in workplaces over vaccine mandates. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is calling for a special legislative session to consider bills countering vaccine and mask mandates. He tweeted out, "No one should lose their job over a COVID shot." The proposals include re-employment assistance to people who are fired due to failure to comply with an employer's vaccine mandate, while another proposal would allow workers compensation for Floridians who have an adverse reaction to a vaccine. And according to another proposal, employers who fire workers solely based on the vaccine mandate would be prohibited from enforcing non-compete agreements against the employees, while another provision would require employers to provide religious and health exemptions to vaccine mandates. And companies that fail to notify employees about the exemptions would be liable to lawsuits by fired employees. President Biden last month ordered the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, to create a rule to require all private employers with 100 or more employees to mandate vaccines or require them to submit to weekly testing. The rule could affect nearly 80 million workers, according to administration officials. Businesses could face fines up to $14,000 per violation. Although the rule is not yet in effect, a large number of private companies have mandated vaccines for their employees in anticipation of the rule. DeSantis said if the federal government or big corporations are hurting people, then we have a responsibility to step up and lead. That's a different approach from Arizona, where Tucson City Council voted to fire employees who don't get the shot. Tucson City Council voted 4-3 to approve the mandate. The deadline for city employees to be vaccinated or lose their jobs is December 1st. That's according to the Associated Press. Governor Ducey cited public reports and said that they did not show Tucson's vaccine mandate would allow for religious exemptions, which he said is unconstitutional. Tucson City Council did not immediately respond to a request for comment. And in the defense sector, new data from the military shows over 12,000 active duty Air Force personnel are poised to miss the vaccine deadline, which is less than 2 weeks away. That's down from about 13,000 personnel the week before, according to an analysis by the Epoch Times. Officials say 3.8% of the Air Force remains unvaccinated. 92% are fully vaccinated, while another 4.2% are partially vaccinated. That means they've only had one of 2 doses of Moderna or Pfizer. 12,000 unvaccinated are at risk of being discharged for non-compliance. That's unless they get a religious or medical exemption. The Air Force has declined to say whether any exemptions have yet been granted. This comes while New York City's largest police union says it's going to take Mayor Bill de Blasio to court over the vaccine mandate. The Police Benevolent Association president, Pat Lynch, said in a statement, "From the beginning of the de Blasio administration's haphazard vaccine rollout, we have fought to make the vaccine available to every member who chooses it, while also protecting their right to make that personal medical decision in consultation with their own doctor." De Blasio has given city employees until November 1st to get their first shot.
My job as your mayor is to keep this city safe, keep this city healthy. And vaccination is the way.
That's while the New York City Firefighters Union is defending their members' right to a personal choice about the vaccine. The union president said they will work to fight the mandate and that he has told firefighters to report for duty even if they are unvaccinated. The city has mandated that all city workers get the shot. Originally, it was mandated for teachers only. City employees will receive an additional $500 in their paychecks after receiving their first dose. Now, let's turn to where many people get their news, social media. There's a new player in town. Former President Trump is starting his own social media network. In a press release Wednesday, he said the new company, Trump Media and Technology Group, or TMTG, will launch what he calls Truth Social. Trump was banned from most social media platforms earlier this year, following the January 6th breach. In the release, Trump wrote he created Truth Social to, quote, stand up to the tyranny of big tech. It said the company intends to launch a subscription video service called TMTG Plus. A beta launch for invited guests is set for November, with a nationwide rollout expected early next year. Now, speaking of big tech, Facebook continues to find itself in the limelight. Facebook's Oversight board offered strong words in a quarterly report released Thursday, noting the key finding was, quote, Facebook needs to commit to greater transparency and to treat users fairly. The board came into being after the January 6th Capitol breach that led to Facebook's ban on then-President Trump. The Oversight Board condemned Facebook for failing to disclose the new development when it was asked to investigate whether the former president could return to the platform. The statement reads, when Facebook referred the case related to former U.S. President Trump to the board, it did not mention the cross-check system. Adding, given that the referral included a specific policy question about account-level enforcement for political leaders, many of whom the board believes were covered by cross-check, this omission is not acceptable. The board adds that since its creation, they've received over 500,000 user appeals, saying 2/3 of appeals where users wanted their content to be restored related to hate speech or bullying, adding the huge volume of user appeals we've received are just the tip of the iceberg. And as for the founder, Mark Zuckerberg, the Senate is calling on him to testify on the impact Instagram has on kids and teens. It comes after congressional testimony from a Facebook whistleblower who highlighted the damage the app can have on mental health and body image, especially among young girls. The Wall Street Journal reported last month that leaked documents show Instagram's parent company, Facebook, has been researching these effects for years. But lawmakers say leaders at the company have hidden information and declined to directly answer questions about it. Facebook recently announced it is pausing plans for a special version of Instagram designed for young kids. And now, before we end, the world's largest Triceratops dinosaur ever discovered went up for auction in Paris on Thursday. Known as Big John, the fossilized remains are named after the owner of the land where the bones were found. More than 66 million years ago, Big John roamed modern-day South Dakota. The remains were expected to fetch up to $1.75 million. Instead, the final price went far beyond expectations. A private anonymous U.S. collector bought the fossilized remains for nearly $8 million. The auctioneer calls it a record for Europe. He says the supersized skeleton has recently been registered in the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest known fossil of its species. A representative for the buyer sheds light on the buyer.
It's being acquired by an American collector, and that individual is absolutely thrilled with the idea of being able to bring a piece like this to his personal use.
The skull of Big John is nearly 9 feet in length, nearly a third of his overall body length. The skull shows a gaping hole, which researchers say is likely a battle scar from a smaller rival.
The history behind this and the curation of it is absolutely impressive. So to be able to be a part of preserving something of this nature that was actually found in the U.S. and South Dakota is also something extremely special.
By 2015, paleontologists had unearthed 60% of the skeleton, a rare feat. Nearly 200 pieces painstakingly put together in Italy to prepare for the Paris auction. And now they'll be taken apart again. A paleontology expert is set to travel with the bones to the final destination, which is still unknown. There, he will be on site to reassemble the skeleton. The name Triceratops means three-horned face. But what do you think? Let me know below. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive. I'm Tiffany Meier, and see you soon.